I'm gonna go ahead and keep it a buck and say that the slander towards Sakura in Naruto is never gonna go away, no matter how many videos I make talking about how good of a character she is, how thick she is, how much of wifey material she is. It's not gonna go away. And with Fortnite coming out with the Naruto skins and just my recent praise of Sakura, a lot of people come out of the woodwork talking about how shitty of a character she is and how terrible she is. But there is something that is really interesting, and I'm kind of coming into this argument a little bit late here, but in the same breath, there are a lot of people saying that she's actually really good because she can beat Madara. And I remember this argument, this conversation happening maybe a month or two ago, where people were talking about Sakura versus Madara, and it all stemmed from Swag Kahe's video. You guys don't know Swag Kahe? He does anime versus videos or explanation videos on mainly Naruto, but other stuff as well. I follow him on YouTube, on Twitter. He's a really interesting source of content, and I like his videos, so make sure you go ahead and check him out. I'm gonna leave a link to his YouTube channel, but he made this video on why Sakura would be able to defeat Madara, or at least land a significant punch on him where it would hurt him, and why adult Sakura would essentially just tear his ass up. And that is what I'm here to talk about today, because I just finished watching the video, and it's crazy because the entire first part of this video is him setting up the ground rules and explaining to people how versus works, and how if you say adult Sakura versus Madara from the end of Naruto Shippuden, if you say these two characters versus each other, you can't take feats and non-feats from other versions of the same character. And basically he had to it's like he was explaining to kindergartners how to do a versus and how versus work. You can't be like adult Sakura versus Madara and be like, wait a minute, Sakura in Naruto, in early Naruto, she barely could do anything, she sucks, why would she be able to defeat Madara? Adult Sakura versus Madara. You pick the version you want. Each version of each character in anything that you watch and anything that you see is completely different than other characters. In Dragon Ball, it's the same thing. The same version of Goku from early Dragon Ball is not the same version of Goku from Z or Super or GT. They're all different. Hell, in Dragon Ball Super, the manga version and the anime version of Goku are completely different as well. He spends that beginning part of that video, like at least half of it, trying to explain that and set up the ground rules. So yeah, that was really interesting to see, and it kind of shows the state of the versus community, because people will, instead of looking at the actual fight itself and looking at the facts around that fight, they will reach for arguments or non-arguments about the same character, but things that they did before when they were weaker or whatever the case might be, when that's not the character that we're talking about. So I thought that was really interesting. But going into it, essentially what he is saying, Suakahe, is that Sakura ended up damaging Kaguya, who is stronger than Madara, at the end of Shippuden. She was able to, when all three of them struck Kaguya was damaged a little bit, but after all three of them struck her, she was able to knock her in the head, and that was enough to damage her significantly at the end of Shippuden. And so with that being said, if she landed the similar or the same punch on Madara, who at that point is weaker than Kaguya, even Six Paths Madara, I mean, yeah, it's weaker than Kaguya, then she should be able to damage him as well, and Madara would get hurt in that confrontation. So that is the end of Shippuden Sakura, and he's not even talking about that. He's using that as a basis to jump off, to leapfrog to Boruto, because we're talking about adult Sakura. Adult Sakura gets a power-up just like every other Naruto character did in Boruto, because they are facing off against the Otsutsuki, which are essentially, at least the bare minimum, the weakest ones, are as strong as Kaguya. So now we've got this huge, tremendous leap in power and strength in the Naruto-verse because of this time skip, and Sakura got that same benefit as just like every other character. So with her being as strong or stronger than some of the Otsutsuki members in Boruto, then that means that she would be able to defeat, or at least be stronger than Madara, and it would be a good fight. Obviously, Madara and the Uchiha characters, they work a lot with illusion, and against other characters that aren't familiar with illusion, I mean, they could get the W, 100%. Sakura knows intimately about the Uchiha. She is raising an Uchiha. One of her kids is Uchiha, her husband's Uchiha, or whatever. And so she's lived her whole life. She's a 100% ninja. She is completely trained. Spent years and years of her life in the ninja world. So she is up to date against illusions and genjutsu, which is something that Madara would be using. And in my opinion, what Swag Kahe is saying is 100% correct. I do believe adult Sakura would be able to manhandle Madara, who is weaker than Kaguya, and Kaguya got damaged by a weaker version of Sakura. So yeah, it just makes sense to me, honestly. And I understand exactly what he's saying. I understand it fully. And a lot of people are bringing up this argument to make Sakura a lot better of a character in the eyes of many. And I 100% back it because it's true. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this versus. This is going to be Sunscape signing off. Take care, guys.